invention.
That says a lot from somebody with that type of experience in the industry.
By the company, but we're putting in the level of work that it takes to make that a reality. And there's no wasted time in our family. So we're here as long as it takes, and plus some.
So why don't you tell the listeners how to get more information about the Natural Grip?
Yeah, the best way is social media. We're very active on all of our social platforms: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. If you're just interested, kind of want to check us out or start following us, I highly recommend, at the Natural Grip. And we're on all those platforms. And then also you can check out our product on our website, www.thenaturalgrip.com, and you can order a pair right there from our website.
Awesome. Ashley Drake with the Natural Grip, CEO, might I add, right here. Thank you for taking your time out on homeabiz.com.
Thank you for having me.
Connect, capitalize, go.
Hi, I'm Eugene Rowe, host of the podcast For Business. On behalf of our team, I'd like to say thanks. Every month, we're able to impact thousands of lives all over the globe with relevant, impactful, and insightful guests. Some of them have even been featured on national television shows like ABC's Shark Tank and CNBC's The Profit. Our mission is simple: to journey with you on your road to achievement. To do that, I'd like to invite you to partner with us in our Share All promise. I promise to continually share for free without commercial interruption and unnecessary subscriptions. And I ask that you promise to share us with your friends. Here's something you like? Simply use the social share buttons at the bottom of the page to tell your network about the podcast For Business. It's simple, easy, and only takes 5 seconds. That's it, partner. You've made the Share All promise.
All new Radio for Small Business.
It's Radio for Small Business on homeabiz.com. Your host, Eugene Rowe. Thanks for tuning in. Right now, I got somebody who's got a firm grasp of the market. Ashley Drake with the Natural Grip. Welcome to Radio for Small Business.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
So tell us a little bit about what the Natural Grip is, and then I'm going to get into some more specifics.
All right, sounds great. Yeah, the Natural Grip is an innovative hand protection device that protects you from ripping and tearing while working out. So we're the only custom hand protection on the market, and what that means is we're the only hand protection that's made based off of your ring finger size. It allows for a custom fit and the ultimate protection to keep you from ripping and tearing while doing high-intensity barbell movements or pull-ups or things like that.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, I saw you guys on TV quite a few times in quite a few places. Tell us about some of the experiences that, some of the reasons that I guess people who work out would need it as far as, not ripping skin. Does it really make that big of a difference?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, our primary market is the CrossFit market, the functional fitness space. Also, gymnasts use our product. Even landscapers can. So it's anybody that's in an environment where they're going at such a rate of speed as far as like barbell cycling or pull-ups or different movements that causes a lot of friction and can cause for your hands to rip or tear. Gotcha.
Now, where'd you come up with the concept?
Well, ultimately, I mean, I was having that problem. And so my husband, I got sick of listening to me complain about my hands ripping and tearing while working out. And he knew that I had tried everything out there on the market and that nothing was working for my small hands. And so he said that he thought he could make something to solve my problem. And he did just that. And some other people saw it at the gym and went crazy about it and wanted to buy it. And so that's when that magical light bulb moment, happened. And I thought, well, hey, maybe we have something here.
Really, it's wonderful to hear entrepreneurs and business owners talk about them having something that they're using and everyone else gets excited about it. Was it 5, 10, 15, 20 people who said, hey, this is pretty cool, you got to give it to me before you decided that it might be a business opportunity, or was it more than that?
Honestly, it was one person. It was one person that I had never met before. We were starting to work out at the gym, and it was 100 pull-ups for time, and she was in from out of town, and she got emotionally distraught about the workout, and I had never met her before, and I asked her if she was okay, and she said, yeah, I'm just worried I'm going to rip and tear my hands. And I said, oh, try these things my husband made. And After the workout, she like came sprinting towards me, and I didn't know if she was mad at me or happy with me. I didn't really know what was going on. And she said that she wanted to know where I got them, how could she get more of them. She wanted to pay me for them. And it was just that authenticness of how she had the same exact problem I was having, but I had solved it for her. And it was just a life-changing moment for her where it was just on her face that she couldn't have been more thankful.
Wow.
And when you have one of those kind of interactions with somebody, I mean, it definitely, stuck in my head for the rest of the day. And all I could think about was, okay, how can I tell my husband about this where he can see how important it was to her, because he wasn't there to witness it happen. And so when I went home that night and I told him, when we were sitting in the kitchen making dinner, he thought I was crazy. He was like, no one's going to buy these things. That's ridiculous, Ashley. And so I just said, well, let me try. Let me try. What do we have to lose if I don't take any of our money, out of our savings? If I just start a Facebook page, just let me try. And so he said, sure, go right ahead. No one's going to buy them. And here we are, almost 4 years later, and over $1 million in sales. So
wow.
things can escalate quickly. So.
We're talking to Ashley Drake of the Natural Grip right here on HomeBuzzBiz.com. It's radio for small business where you connect, capitalize, and go. Ashley, you talked about how your husband actually created the product. Now, do you guys work the business together, or is it pretty much your baby that you run with?
Well, I am the CEO. There's no doubt about that. He is the COO, Chief of Operations. I'm actually still active duty, so I work full-time for the Army, and so I'm not able to really focus on the business stuff until later in the afternoon when I'm done with my Army requirements. And Justin runs the production facility from 9 to 5 every day, or later if necessary.
Gotcha.
So we're both fully committed, but he runs the day-to-day stuff, and I kind of handle the high-level stuff.
Gotcha. Now, if I'm not mistaken, when you were on Beyond the Tank, I watched that show a whole lot. I know you were thinking about making a big decision as far as the full-time job goes. Has anything else changed with that since then?
Yeah, no. I mean, I had made the decision to get out of the military, and so that's been communicated to the Army, and they're tracking that. It just takes time for that to kind of go through the process. So my commitment's not up until next October, and so I'll fulfill my commitment that I have for my term of service, and then I'll go ahead and transition out. It's just it's not something anybody should take lightly, and it takes time. So that's why there was a topic then, but still hasn't, been executed yet.
Absolutely. We're talking to Ashley Drake of the Natural Grip, HomeBuzzBiz.com. Connect, capitalize, go. Ashley, you mentioned something about, wanting to quit the full-time job, and your job is actually more important than probably most of all others out there. A member of the United States Army. We thank you for your service. So what were some of the things and details that you had to think about and consider before you decided to walk away from that safety net, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, definitely getting paid on the 1st and the 15th, an officer's salary is a big thing to walk away from. I mean, ultimately the business does play a role in it, but in addition to that, we have a daughter. She's 5 years old, and so becoming a mom and continuing in the service is a difficult decision point kind of for any female soldier, enlisted or on the officer's side. So I tell everybody, the company has played a role in the decision, but ultimately I want to be there for our daughter, and I'm very thankful for the military career that I've had, and I know that I could go very far in the military, but I also take my responsibility of being a mother very seriously, and your priorities change as you get older and things change in your life. So Ellie is more important than my Army career, and therefore
Wow. Mm-hmm.
I need to focus on that.
I don't think anyone will fault you for making that decision. Definitely a member of the armed forces. Even, my father and both of my brothers have served in different branches of the military. So definitely thank you for your service with that. We're talking with Ashley Drake of the Natural Grip. Now, you mentioned something. 3-4 years in to the business, $1 million in sales later. I mean, you go back to your husband saying it'll never sell. When you sold your first 6 figures, what'd he say?
He said, he said, okay, now what? And I said, well, we keep going, I mean, it was just kind of like that. He was skeptical at first, but, when we started the business in May of 2013, by the end of that year, we had done $60,000 in sales. And so that was kind of the moment like, oh man, this is legitimate. We got to worry. The tax man's going to be interested in this, we've got to be interested in this. What are we going to do? And it was really a decision point, were we going to walk away or were we going to continue on that path? And, luckily my husband had the opportunity where he could, change his profession and take the production on full time. So, he's just as committed as I am to making this successful. And every day we're surprised, by the growth of the company. But we're putting in the level of work that it takes to make that a reality. And there's no wasted time in our family. So we're here as long as it takes, and plus some.
So why don't you tell the listeners how to get more information about the Natural Grip?
Yeah, the best way is social media. We're very active on all of our social platforms, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. If you're just interested, kind of want to check us out or start following us, I highly recommend, at The Natural Grip. And we're on all those platforms. And then also you can check out our product on our website, www.thenaturalgrip.com, and you can order a pair for right there from our website.
Awesome. Ashley Drake with the Natural Grip, CEO, might I add, right here. Thank you for taking your time out on homeabiz.com.
Thank you for having me.
Connect, capitalize, go.
Hi, I'm Eugene Rowe, host of the podcast For Business. On behalf of our team, I'd like to say thanks. Every month, we're able to impact thousands of lives all over the globe with relevant, impactful, and insightful guests. Some of them have even been featured on national television shows like ABC's Shark Tank and CNBC's The Profit. Our mission is simple: to journey with you on your road to achievement. To do that, I'd like to invite you to partner with us in our Share All promise. I promise to continually share for free without commercial interruption and unnecessary subscriptions. And I ask that you promise to share us with your friends. Here's something you like? Simply use the social share buttons at the bottom of the page to tell your network about the podcast For Business. It's simple, easy, and only takes 5 seconds. That's it, partner. You've made the Share All promise.
All new radio for small business.
If you've got stinky hands, stinky breath, you want to talk to the next guest here on homeabiz.com, Tony Gauthier of Spritz. You've seen him all over the place, all through the media. Tony, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
So what part of the world are you in, Tony?
I'm in Oakland, California, on the West Coast, Oakland, California. This is home. Born and raised. I love this place. It's the best place on earth.
Now, your business is Spritz. Obviously people, they heard me say if you got stinky hands and stinky breath, they need to listen to you. Tell us about Spritz.
Yeah, so Spritz is the original first all-natural 2-in-1 breath and hand freshener. And I know a lot of people are going to say, what, breath and hand freshener? Yes, it is the first breath and hand freshener. I came up with Spritz a few years ago while I was hosting a party. And I kind of snuck outside for a quick smoke break, and I didn't want to go back inside with the embarrassing smell of the cigarette smell. I know it's a bad habit as it is, but that's when I thought to myself, what if there was a product that can actually take away the smell of smoke from your hands as well as your breath? So that's when I created Spritz, along with a chemist friend of mine. So basically, Spritz is for people that, whether they smoke or not. It's an alternative, a healthier alternative to freshen your breath. 0 calories, no sugar. It's all natural. It's the new after dinner mint. You can use it after you just ate some sushi, some fried food. You're about to go on a date, going to the office. That's what Spritz is all about.
Just a little Spritz and you'll be ready to go.
There you go. A little Spritz goes a long way.
So, eventually you got this thing pumping enough where you got enough people excited and you ended up raising capital. Now, before you ended up on ABC's Shark Tank, had you ever pitched and raised capital before?
No, I have not, actually. This has actually been my first time doing it to this extent. I've started businesses before as a young guy, whether it was doing music or doing a clothing line, a local clothing line, but never something to this extent. So this is still something very brand new to me. I'm still learning. There's a lot to learn. I'm in no way a professional entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur in training. But it's been an awesome ride, and I know that we have a long way to go, and it's just going to be amazing.
So, I mean, obviously, being the entrepreneur in training, and when you ended up on the carpet there on ABC's Shark Tank, what are some of the things – I don't really want to talk about the show itself. I want to talk about what you did to prep and some of the mindset and some of the thought process. So what were some of the things that you did to prepare for that show? Okay,
yeah, good. So I'm very optimistic, and I'm a huge believer in the power of the mind as well as the spirit. So prior to going to the show, I can say this. When I first came out with the product, I literally would write down my goals, my visions, my dreams of what I wanted to accomplish with this product on my vision board. I hate to be cliche about it, but I did. I continued reading a lot of entrepreneurial books. I watched the show daily, and I just said, okay, I need to know my business inside and out. So what we would do as a team is we would practice going over every question that we can possibly think of, every question that they would possibly throw at us, and also we would create our own. As well as it allowed me to start learning the industry of the breath industry, the breath spray industry, the mint industry, the gum industry, so I can know what the competition, if it exists out there, what it would be or what not.
Gotcha.
So preparing for the show, I would just always say to myself, I have this credo that I live by, this creed that I live by. My thoughts will transform my future. If I think positive about the results, only positive results are going to come to me. So I would just, be positive every day about going on the show, presenting my idea. It wasn't about winning or losing. It wasn't about getting a deal or not getting a deal. It was about knowing my business and knowing what I want to achieve in life with this business.
Wow. Tony Gauthier of Spritz. We're talking to him right now on Radio for Small Business. You can visit us up at homebabiz.com. Connect, capitalize, go. Tony, let's talk about that next level. Right now, you are on the carpet, and you're pitching investors. What's going through your head? What are some of the questions they're asking you? And what are you doing to power through, man?
So to power through, and for the viewers, the listeners who may or may have not seen the show, I don't want to give it away just yet because I want them to be able to go to our website, spritzme.com, SPRETZ me.com, and they can click the link to see the episode. So I don't want to give up all the juice. But what was going through my head at that moment was, we made it. Regardless of what the outcome is going to be, we made it. I made it. I am doing this for my mother. My mother passed away 3 years ago to a day of the taping of the show.
Oh, man.
And so it's okay. So I knew I had the power of my mother, as well as, being an entrepreneur in training. This is what it's all about. I'm standing in front of an opportunity, basically a gold mine or basically a pot of gold, whether they like it or not. The world is going to see this. So I just had to swallow all my inhibitions and not be nervous and know my numbers and know my business inside out and be ready for whatever they had to throw at me. This wasn't a gimmick. This isn't a gimmick. This wasn't a hustle. It's not a hustle. This is a real business. So that was going through my mind, was the fact that my thought process got us here. It actually really works. And now we have to show the world that this is not a laughing matter. This isn't a joke. We're not the joking episode. This is a real business, a viable business that can actually take off.
Right.
So that's what was going through my head. I wanted to prove to the Sharks that it's a new business. It's never been done before, but this is something that we want to take a risk on because this is the future of freshness. People laughed at the inventor of the telephone. If I told you right now, hey, I want to talk to you from across the world with this string of wire, you'd laugh at me.
People would have thought you were crazy back then.
That's right. So people thought the same way with Spritz. So that's what was going through my head. Just no nerves. We made it. Let's show the world what Spritz is all about.
Hey, that's pretty cool. Tony Gauthier of Spritz. We're talking to him right now on HomeBaBiz Radio, homebabiz.com. We've been talking about one, Spritz at spritzme.com. We've been talking about two, his experience raising capital and on ABC Shark Tank. Tell us a little bit more. Let's kind of switch gears just a little bit now that you're, quote unquote, post Shark Tank, right? Even whether you got a deal or not, you still get massive publicity. Was there some things you had to put in place to be ready for that influx of new business and new inquiries?
Yeah, there was actually. Really, at that moment there, I had to go out and really put my business knowledge to effect. I had to also reach out and ask for some favors. I know a few people in the financial industry that are financial investors or advisors. I know some people that do operations and the directors of operations for various companies. So I had to swallow my pride and not be afraid to admit the things that I did not know. I'm not going to lie to you. It was I don't think we were as prepared as we should have been once the show aired, because the influx of orders and the influx of emails, it was overwhelming. We purposely had a delay for the shipment date so that we could be ready just in case there were too many orders or not enough. And, it was such a blessing to see all those orders coming in. But I had to take a step back and start asking for favors on how do I properly do this? What is the flow? What should the flow look like, when we're sending out orders? Just recently I sent out an email blast to all of our awesome and amazing customers that, this journey hasn't been perfect, but we thank you for riding it out with us. I mean, we had hiccups with our shipment station. We had some hiccup with our orders. I had to refund some people. I had to send out double duplicates because these are lessons that I just didn't know. I had no idea how to properly send out orders through a mail channel when we had all those, the night of the show airing. So, it was definitely, that night was a lesson learned, and it's been a lesson learned. And, that's what life is all about. You learn from your mistakes. You try not to make them again.
But I'm guessing you probably got the equivalent of a college degree in just that short time after the show, just with all that information.
Oh yeah, I should be a professor now. My mother used to always say experience is the greatest teacher, and boy, that was a great lesson and a great teacher. I mean, being on the show, going through this process, this actually has been one of the greatest lessons I've learned in life. I mean, being a parent is also awesome. Being a friend, a brother, a husband is great. But learning this School of Hard Knocks business is amazing, because that's what it's all about. Everything's not going to be perfect. Everything's not going to be sweet. And you have to be okay with that. I won't lie. I was emotional and hurt when I would see emails of people saying, hey, I didn't get my order today. Can you give me a refund? Or, hey,
that hurts.
It took 10
having to
days
get money back, right? Yeah.
It does, but one of my key values with my company, with Spritz, is customers first. I mean, we believe in amazing customer service. I email everyone back that sends me an email, sends me a Facebook post, a tweet, an Instagram. Anytime something comes into the Spritz Me website, I email them back personally. I don't care if it's a good email, a bad email, if it's an insult, if it's a congratulations. I email everyone back because I believe in the power of customer service.
Well, Tony Gauthier, owner of Spritz, I definitely thank you for taking your time out. Sounds like you're a very wise man. And why don't you tell the listeners a little bit more about how to get a hold of you, maybe your website, information, things like that.
Yeah, definitely. And again, I want to thank you for having me on the show. I really do appreciate it. This is a part of the journey that I'm so thankful for. All the listeners can check us out on spritzme.com. That's SPRETZ. M as in Mary, E as in elephant, spritzme.com. They can go to our Facebook and follow us, just at Spritzme. Our Twitter handle is at Spritzme, as well as the Instagram is at Spritzme. Even if you just Google Spritzme, it'll pop up. You'll see some YouTube reviews. We were just featured in Forbes.com as one of the top 25 best gifts for Father's Day. So there's a lot of information out there. Again, if you email us, I'll email you back most likely, or maybe one of my interns. But if you have stinky breath, if you have stinky hands, this is a unique product, but it's all natural. There's 0 calories, no sugar. It's an amazing, amazing product. Even if you do or don't smoke, it's the right product for you. Spritz is the future of fresh, and we are so happy to be a part of your show.
Awesome. Thanks, Tony. Thanks for taking your time out here on homeofbiz.com.
Thank you. You have a good one.
Connect. Capitalize. Go.
Hi, I'm Eugene Rowe, host of the podcast For Business. On behalf of our team, I'd like to say thanks. Every month, we're able to impact thousands of lives all over the globe with relevant, impactful, and insightful guests. Some of them have even been featured on national television shows like ABC's Shark Tank and CNBC's The Profit. Our mission is simple: to journey with you on your road to achievement. To do that, I'd like to invite you to partner with us in our Share All promise. I promise to continually share for free without commercial interruption and unnecessary subscriptions. And I ask that you promise to share us with your friends. Here's something you like? Simply use the social share buttons at the bottom of the page to tell your network about the podcast For Business. It's simple, easy, and only takes 5 seconds. That's it, partner. You've made the Share All promise.
Put your mouth where your money is. Radio for Small Business with HomeBiz.
Well, it's Radio for Small Business. Your host, Eugene Rowe. Check us out on homebiz.com. You can also check the show out on Google Play, iTunes, Spreaker, SoundCloud, and a whole lot more options. Right now, today, I've got David Lynch with Simonin Realtors on the show. David, welcome.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about your background. Realty, real estate, are you investing? Or are you more so realtor? How's that work?
I'm a commercial realtor. I've been in the business about 30 years. I got my MBA in 85 and started out with Humana in corporate acquisition and development, picking out their sites around the Southeast U.S. when they were a hospital company.
Wow.
Then went on to NTS. It's a regional commercial group here that leases office buildings. They had about 21 office buildings.
Okay.
Did some leasing for them, and then I got into general commercial brokerage and have followed that path.
So tell me a little bit, what part of the country are you in, David?
Midwest.
Okay.
Which, Louisville is a big area for industrial because it's about 6 hours to Chicago, to Atlanta, to St. Louis, 4.5, to the East Coast, probably about 7 or 8. So it's a good central location. We got a couple of new bridges going in downtown that's going to allow quicker access north-south, and we have several interstates here that go north, south, east, west.
I actually like Louisville because I could be in downtown and in the next 5 minutes I'm in Indiana, and I thought that was pretty cool.
That is.
Just by crossing
You're
the bridge.
in the country in a hurry.
Awesome. So now we're talking to David Lynch with Simonin Realty in Louisville, Kentucky. Am I pronouncing it right, David? Louisville?
That is correct.
Awesome.
You got it. I could tell you talked to someone here before.
Oh, yeah. I've been corrected before. You say Louisville in Louisville, and people look at you funny.
Right. That's right. Where are you from?
So now you're commercial realty. Most of the people that we talk to, they're either residential or in many cases they're investors. Tell us about the commercial industry that makes it different from, say, for instance, residential.
Some of the things that make commercial a little different is the time. It takes a much longer time to make from the actual listing to the sale to the closing. You can have some that could go as much as 2 or 3 years, depending upon the complication of it. So timing is a big issue. Then where you advertise is different methods to get the word out on the internet. We use about 20 platforms that we push our information out to. Okay. We have a state site, national site, and then these about 20 platforms we pass the information out to. So advertising is different.
I like what you said about the advertising because I'm guessing with its commercial, do you guys ever try to focus, say, for instance, if a building's empty or a commercial real estate property is empty, do you maybe try to help companies who want to move into town, incentivize them to move into your places?
Yes, we do. That would be mostly leasing a lot of times. We do all kinds of leasing for large and small properties. And that's a little bit different game. You play that game with a letter of intent usually to say, it's kind of like, this is what I'd like to do, and then you negotiate that back and forth before you get to the lease.
I got you.
So that is the leasing side of it.
Huh. So tell us about, I know you mentioned how you got started, but what was the mindset that brought you into the commercial industry? And before you say that, we're talking to David Lynch with Simonin Realty, Commercial Realty in Louisville, Kentucky. Tell us a little bit about the mindset that took you into commercial versus where it seems like many other people like to go into homeowners and private property.
Well, growing up, I was a runner in high school and college, so that required a lot of doing on your own and some on teams. And from that background, I came into real estate. My brother-in-law sells farms in Tennessee and has done that for 30, 40 years. And I thought I'd get into residential, which I started in. And then I kind of expanded into commercial because it was a little more challenging. It takes a little more time, a little more effort, a little more knowledge. And you run into a lot of the big thing that's difference between residential and commercial is zoning. You can only put certain kinds of businesses in certain locations of property based on the zoning. So, you can't just go out and buy any business you want. It has to fit the zoning method, or you have to get it rezoned. So you have zoning issues, you have environmental. A lot of times on homes you get a home inspection. Well, when you get to commercial, you have a commercial requirement, a lot of times by the lender, which could include environmental inspections. Those take a little bit of time. They're more expensive.
And I'm guessing most lenders aren't necessarily trying to rush the process. They want to make sure that their investment is going to be protected, right?
Exactly right.
So what about, I'm guessing there's also things like flood studies and things like that. What are some other, if I'm going to start a business, say even in Louisville, Kentucky, right? And I want to buy a piece of commercial property. What are the top 3 things I need to consider, even if it's zoning? What are the top 3 things I should consider before I even sign the contract on my new franchise?
Well, before you do anything, you really need to get with your lender, banker, whoever is going to help you with the money, and make sure you can get qualified. And that can take sometimes anywhere from a month to 2 or 3 months, even up to 6 months I have seen in the days when we were between 07 and 14.
Oh, in the market.
A long time because the market requirements for lending changed, and that forced more time involved in that. So the most important thing is to get started with the lender first. And then secondly, you want to find, someone you can work with that has kind of the same kind of mindset that you do. That's very helpful if you all working on the same page of kind of attitude of the process. So you find that, and then you find the different avenues to go and look. Still a lot of it is on the internet, even though everything is not on the internet, unfortunately, on the commercial side, but a good majority of it is. So you start, your search on the internet and your search with your broker, and then you start working through the process of eliminating properties. So first is financing, second is getting your broker, and probably the third is to make sure you have someone knowledgeable that you can really talk to about what you really want. What's your goal? What's your objective? And then we talk about how you can get there. So those things come before you really actually go out and look at properties.
Well said. I like that. We've been talking to David Lynch right here on the Home of Biz Radio for Small Business show. He's with Simonon Commercial Realty. David, why don't you give the listeners a way to get a hold of you?
Well, there's several ways you can get a hold of me. My first is my email, dlynch, DLYNCH, at Simonon.com. That's SEMONIN.com. I also have a website, David Lynch, one word, .Simonon.com. I have plenty of numbers. Probably my cell number is the easiest way, area code 502-417-3888. You can find all that on my website, and I have a $5,000 bill on there. If you click on it, it'll give you a miniature 2.5-minute version of my listing presentation, so you kind of have a little heads up on what I do and how I approach it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mr. David Lynch with Simonon Commercial Realty right here on homeofbiz.com. Make sure as a listener, you touch, share, like, tweet, whatever you do, do it online. We're available everywhere. David, thanks for taking your time out on homeofbiz.com.
Okay, no problem. Thanks for the call.
Connect, capitalize, go.
Hi, I'm Eugene Rowe, host of the podcast For Business. On behalf of our team, I'd like to say thanks. Every month, we're able to impact thousands of lives all over the globe with relevant, impactful, and insightful guests. Some of them have even been featured on national television shows like ABC's Shark Tank and CNBC's The Profit. Our mission is simple: to journey with you on your road to achievement. To do that, I'd like to invite you to partner with us in our Share All promise. I promise to continually share for free without commercial interruption and unnecessary subscriptions. And I ask that you promise to share us with your friends. Here's something you like? Simply use the social share buttons at the bottom of the page to tell your network about the podcast For Business. It's simple, easy, and only takes 5 seconds. That's it, partner. You've made the Share All promise.
Inside the mind of the owner. Radio for small business. Connect, capitalize, go.
It's Radio for Small Business. Your host, Eugene Rowe on HomeBiz.com. You can check out the show not just at HomeBiz.com, but on Google Play, iTunes. I think it's on YouTube. We've got it on Spreaker, Soundcast, and anywhere there's sound available, you can check it out. Right now, today, I've got a young lady who knows how to make things happen. She's got all the swag in your bag. SwagEssentials.com owner, Miss Lydia Evans. Welcome to Radio for Small Business.
Oh, thank you for having me, Eugene. I appreciate it.
So tell us, I remember you from ABC Shark Tank. That's where I remember you from. You went on to the show, but I don't want to talk about that yet. I want to talk about your background and how you got to starting business first. Tell us about that.
Okay, well, I started in business many years ago, actually 9 years ago, making a ladies line called La Bella Dolce. And it was like your handcrafted sugar scrubs, lotions. And my focus was for people that had sensitive skin like myself, because I'm a sufferer of eczema. And so I just made a bunch of natural products that were enriched with different oils and tinctures and hydrosols that help people like myself that had eczema. So that was my initial start, was actually solution to my own skincare issues.
Gotcha.
And as time went along, I became a licensed esthetician where I really, really studied and learned skincare by the book. So I just mixed the two, and here I am.
Wow. And eventually, now you've got a product that Forbes magazine calls the coolest gift for travelers. How was it getting that designation?
Oh, that was awesome. As a matter of fact, I found out by accident. That's so funny. A lot of the press we get, I find out by accident because it's like every once in a while I'll Google myself, which when I did it right after Shark Tank, everybody said, don't Google yourself, but I did. And I was like, oh my God, all these people that have gotten the product have wrote up on it. That's amazing. So I didn't find out about it until well after the journalist had wrote about it being the coolest gift for travelers. And she did that around the holiday. And then this past Father's Day, from a completely different journalist at Forbes, she named us the best gift for Father's Day.
Wow.
It was awesome.
Wow,
yeah.
That's pretty cool. You got so much stuff going on. It's like, okay, Forbes writes you up and you don't even know about it. It's just business as usual, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's pretty awesome. So tell us about, obviously, when you go onto shows like ABC Shark Tank, you're attempting to raise capital from investors. And in this case, it's the sharks. Tell us about the mindset you had going up to preparing to pitch investors for your business.
Okay, well, before I even left Houston, Texas, I told my mother and my father, there's two things I'm not going to do. I'm not going to get an attitude and embarrass my family name on national TV if they turn me down.
Good idea.
That was the first thing. And the second thing was I'm not going to cry. Only because I just feel like there's business and then there's emotion, and the two don't need to cross. Gotcha. So when I went out there with a very fixed mindset of I'm going to go tell them the honest to God's truth, even though I know I didn't have, but $54,000 in sales. I'm going to tell them the honest to God's truth. I'm going to tell them my numbers, and I'm going to stand behind them firmly. I'm going to say I did $54,000 in sales as if I did $1 million.
Right.
Because I feel like to sell a $54,000 in one bar of soap by yourself out of the trunk of your car was a feat to me. So I went out there with all the confidence like I had a multi-million-dollar brand. But that doesn't mean that I didn't want to faint while I was on that stage.
Right.
Because it's very real. It's extremely real. So there's no pre-taping. There's none of that. You tape one time, and that's all you get. So when people saw me on TV on December 5th, that was the first time I saw myself.
Wow. So just in case you're just tuning in, we're talking to Lydia Evans, owner of SwagEssentials.com, SwagEssentials.com. Now, I'm saying SwagEssentials.com right now, and they're on Radio for Small Business. But Lydia, you've got a cool story about when you went on to the show, you didn't necessarily have that domain name yet, did you?
No, I did not. I actually tried to get it, but it was taken. There was some little teenager, like a 15-year-old kid, that had like a little online store for T-shirts. And when I tried to contact them, they were like, no, it's not for sale or whatever have you. Neither here nor there. I went ahead and took the domain pure-swag because I felt like, okay, pure to play off of the fact that, our tagline is grooming by pure design because all of our products are natural and made with pure ingredients. And then SWNG, which is an acronym for our full name, soaps, washes, and grooming. So we took the name pure-swag.com as a domain. Well, shortly after we got that and we aired on Shark Tank, all of a sudden I get an email from an anonymous man. He said he wanted to stay anonymous. And he said, hey, why are you promoting pure-swag and not your domain? That's bad for branding. So then, of course, my first response was like, no, duh. Like, yeah, of course.
Really?
I know that. Do you think I would just purposely go get this name if it was available? So I responded back, sir, it's not available, but thank you so much for your feedback, and I appreciate that. And so he responds back and says, well, it was up for sale in February, and I have been monitoring it ever since.
Wow.
And I bought it. And I'm willing to transfer it over to you. Well, of course, because right after Shark Tank, everybody is connecting themselves to my pockets as fast as possible. I'm like, oh, this man is going to try to sell me this domain name for thousands of dollars. But it has value to my brand, and I was literally preparing myself to do that. But by the grace of God, he responded back, and he said, I'm not asking you for anything. I love you. I love your personality. I think you're going to go far, even without a shark. Your product's great. I do definitely want to remain anonymous in this. However, I would like to just transfer it over to your company, and I'll pay for everything.
What?
And I thought it was a joke.
Really?
And I was like, wow, what an angel. Yes. And I was like, what an angel. And I was like, sir, we can send you a check made out just blank. You can put your own name in there. And he was like, no need to.
Wow.
And he sent me back an email like, this is some good marketing advice for you. And, I do this professionally for a living. And I think these are some tips you can apply. And best of luck with your
that's
your
amazing.
business. And I was like, wow, yeah.
Wow. So I guess you sow those good seed, and eventually something comes back to you. And this guy, I mean, he probably could have sold it on the market for at least $5,000-$10,000, I'm guessing.
Easy. And I bought it. Yeah.
Wow. So we're talking to Lydia Evans, owner of swagessentials.com, right here on Radio for Small Business. You can check the show out on homeforbiz.com, Google Play, iTunes, and many, many more places, even Twitter and Facebook. Lydia, you mentioned something, and let's switch a little bit, because obviously you came off the show, you've got some marketing publicity, and you mentioned something that people were trying to attach themselves to your pockets. Tell us about some of the things you got to do to prepare yourself, even for after the show, for, the good people and the not so good ones.
Well, life changes immediately. I mean, when you go there, you have a team of people that kind of trying to, they kind of give you some little tips here and there, like just know that regardless of how this goes, as long as your product is quality and you're a likable person, you will be successful. However, without a deal, only a certain percentage of people and a very small percentage are successful because you don't have that capital in advance. And I was one of those people. I did not have the capital in advance because, for one, I didn't get a shark, and for two, I just didn't have enough to sow into my brand to get me out of my apartment.
Okay.
And so for me, it was a very unique situation because my product is very niche. So after I left there, I got thousands. And when I say thousands, I mean thousands of emails and phone calls from people that said they saw me on the show. They were so motivated by me. They loved the fact that I stood up and I represented my brand, and I didn't fold over. I didn't show any sadness. I said, well, thank you, and I'll take that and raise you one. And it was women and men from around the world that had such positive, great feedback. But then also, of course, with that comes people that feel like, oh, I know if I was her, I would do this. If I was her, I'd have done that. Yeah, it's a very shoulda, coulda, woulda situation because it's unnerving to stand in front of five multi-millionaires that in your mind you feel hold your brand's livelihood in their yay or nay of an investment. Now, of course, that's how I felt then. But afterwards, when the orders came in and they flooded me, and I'm looking at my second bedroom and I'm looking in the closet where I would make my products, and I look in there, I see 100 soap bars, and we sold 10,000 units in 4 hours.
Ouch.
So, yeah. So it was very overwhelming, but it was so humbling. I think I literally, the first 3 days after that, I did not sleep, Eugene. I literally... No, I was like a zombie because I was it felt so unreal. It felt like I was living someone else's life.
Wow. Every
time you turn around, someone's on the phone, wants to interview me. Someone wants to talk to me. Someone wants the product. I mean, it was crazy. People were like, yeah, I'm trying to find out where I can come pick the product up. Well, we didn't have any retail locations but my brother's shop. And he said when he went to his shop the next day, it was a line wrapped around the corner of people waiting on him to go to his shop. He didn't have enough inventory.
You had 100 bars in the closet, right? So
yeah. And what they didn't understand was when people saw me in December, they thought, oh, she just taped this. That it doesn't happen like that. I didn't just tape that then and walk off the stage. So people were like, how are you going to go on Shark Tank and you're not prepared? And I'm like, sweetheart, I had no financial injection in my business.
Right.
And I'm doing the best I can. So I had to literally take off that, yay, I got able to be featured on Shark Tank. I had to take that hat off and put on my humble business person hat and literally take these calls of people that are saying, so what do you mean I'm not going to get my product for a month?
Oh, man.
What do you mean I'm not going to? So I had to express it to people, and you'd be amazed at how many people were like, oh, I didn't realize that.
Right.
Oh, I don't know why I thought you'd have just had thousands of units sitting up waiting.
I don't know why they think every business owner has, $1 million of product sitting in the basement ready to move.
Yeah.
Even if you had the injection, you probably wouldn't have set it all in $1 million of inventory, I'm guessing.
No, because you can't top your funds like that. But that's all the ins and outs and the little pieces of business and entrepreneurship that, you that's not textbook stuff there. That's stuff you kind of got to learn as you go along.
Right. Well, I've definitely enjoyed learning from you. We've been talking to Lydia Evans of swagessentials.com right here on Radio for Small Business. You can check us out, homebabiz.com. Do us a favor. When we put this show on, like it, share it, tweet it, whatever you can do to it, because Lydia, I really wish you much success. Why don't you give the listeners a way to get a hold of you?
Absolutely. You can go to our website, which is swagessentials.com. You can also find us on pretty much every social media platform. On Facebook, we're on Swag Essentials, one full word. On Twitter, and I also have an Instagram. Everyone loves to connect with me on Instagram, and then that is at swag_essentials. And that's the Twitter and the Instagram. And as far as if you want to get in contact with me personally, or you have a question for me, you want to connect with me personally, go to our website, hit up the contact form, put your purpose of contact in there. And if I don't contact you back directly, my customer care manager or my assistant will.
Awesome. Lydia Evans, swagessentials.com. Thank you for taking your time out here on homebabiz.com.
Thank you, Eugene. Have a great day.
Connect. Capitalize. Go.
Hi, I'm Eugene Rowe, host of the podcast For Business. On behalf of our team, I'd like to say thanks. Every month, we're able to impact thousands of lives all over the globe with relevant, impactful, and insightful guests. Some of them have even been featured on national television shows like ABC's Shark Tank and CNBC's The Profit. Our mission is simple: to journey with you on your road to achievement. To do that, I'd like to invite you to partner with us in our Share All promise. I promise to continually share for free without commercial interruption and unnecessary subscriptions. And I ask that you promise to share us with your friends. Here's something you like? Simply use the social share buttons at the bottom of the page to tell your network about the podcast For Business. It's simple, easy, and only takes 5 seconds. That's it, partner. You've made the Share All promise.
All new Radio for Small Business.
It's Radio for Small Business. Your host, Eugene Rowe. Check us out on homebabiz.com. That's HOMBABAZ.biz.com. I better spell it right myself. Nevertheless, if I get it wrong, someone's going to get me organized to get it right. Miss Angela Cody, owner of Major Mom, is on the show. Angela, welcome.
Thank you, sir. It's good to be on your show.
Now, Major Mom, those are two words that normally don't go together, so you got to tell us what's up.
Well, I was a major in the Air Force.
Really?
Yes, I was in the United States Air Force, served for almost 14 years. I had a baby girl when I was a major in the Air Force. I would get home from duty, and my husband would say, Major Mom is home. And then my son was born 18 months later, and I decided that military life and motherhood were no longer compatible, so I resigned my commission and got out to be an entrepreneur of all things.
Oh, man. So getting out of the military, 14 years as a major, first of all, thank you for your service. I really appreciate that.
Welcome.
That was obviously a big switch from a lot of structure in the military to an entrepreneur. Tell us some of the things that went through your head. Tell us some of the ping pong that might have gone through your head.
In the military, you really are told what to do, when to do it, how to do it. So you don't really have to do a lot of thinking for yourself. However, there are times when the best made plans go awry. And I think that's where I was taught the skills that I'm now using in the entrepreneur world, because you have a plan B for any mission, and many people know that plan goes to pot pretty quickly in some arenas, and then you need to adapt, overcome, use everything you know to make sure the mission gets met. And I think, wow, that is so much like entrepreneurship, because you have this idea and these goals, and you're going to have this many clients and make this much revenue, and you have your projections and all the fancy schmancy plans, and then they don't
they don't work like that, do they?
And then you have to start going, okay, plan B, plan C, plan D, and then we're already at plan, not what would be C right now.
Now, when it comes to, being flexible, because flexibility is a major key for an entrepreneur, and I know a lot of people who haven't taken that's a major thing for them. Were you naturally that flexible as far as making backup plans, or is it something that you purely learned in the military?
I grew up in the most chaotic environment in terms of moving 16 times by the time I was 14. My dad was in construction. My mom was a nurse, and sometimes we'd have literally 5 or 6 hours to get our house packed up and move.
Wow.
And that
wow.
just really created a ton of flexibility in terms of my relationship with time and stuff and, attachments to things. I think that then the military does the same thing, because you move, you switch units, you switch squadrons, and even though the mission is changing in each of those units, there's still some standard operating procedures that you can cling to. And I think that's why I created Major Mom, because I saw people being really organized at work in the corporate environment, but they were totally disorganized in their business or their home, their office, not invoicing people, just not being on top of their game with good time management. And that's why 8 years ago we started this organizing company to help others really keep their act together, if you will, because I don't know if you agree with me, Eugene, but I think that being organized is a critical skill in entrepreneurship.
I agree 100%. In fact, we're talking to Miss Angela Cody, owner of Major Mom. She helps individuals, businesses get organized with her business. Former United States Air Force officer, and we're talking about the importance of organization to entrepreneurship. Angela, give us a couple more tips, or maybe some things that just being organized could help a business owner do.
Being organized in general, I think, requires you to know what you're good at and what you're not good at. So some people listening today may be really good at organizing their numbers. They might be good at organizing their papers, or maybe they aren't organized at all. So they still try to be their own bookkeeper, still try to be their own assistant, and create their own file systems and never reach out for help. So my first big thing is entrepreneurship is not meant to do alone. It's meant to outsource and gather other people that have great skills than you do in certain areas so that you can do what you're super good at versus spending lots of time in the office doing something you hate doing.
Right. And you know what? There are businesses out there where the owner actually works for the guy he hired as a CEO or the girl they hired as a CEO just because the owner knows his limitations. And I think that's a great piece of advice. What are some other things that you found that simply being organized can do to help entrepreneurs succeed?
Well, being organized in terms of your office, in your life, it saves you time, money, and energy. A lot of business owners that we organize have duplicate purchases on so many levels, which is such a waste of time, whether it's 2 or 4 printers, gadgets and gadgets. Guess what's the thing I find the most in offices, disorganized offices, when we go to organize them? And these are solopreneurs or maybe 2-people companies. It's software the magic bullet. They buy all this software and it sits on the shelf and never gets opened.
No.
Books that never get opened, and their offices are full of stuff that they think, if I just read this book, if I just get this software, if I just sign up for this program, or if I just go to 10 more networking events, I'll have 200 business cards that I can throw in a box and do nothing with.
Oh, man.
So that's my second thing is do something with those business cards. Otherwise, just stay home.
Yeah, you'll save a lot of time. I think I read a stat up to 80% of networking events and trade show leads go unfollowed up on, which is kind of crazy. So we're talking to Angela Cody. She's owner of Major Mom. She is an organizer extraordinaire, former Air Force Major. That's an officer, I think. Angela, we've been on the process of talking about organization, and one of the things that businesses have to get organized for is when it comes to raising capital and bringing in investors. Have you ever raised capital at all?
Oh, goodness, I have raised capital. I've been on Shark Tank. I've done pitch competitions all over the United States, and let me tell you how organized you have got to be for those types of events. You need to know your numbers inside and out. You've got to have an organized business plan, which means your thoughts really have to be organized before you go out and raise capital, because anybody going to invest in your company is going to sense or see or witness disorganization if you show up that way. And
really,
most people do not like to invest in disorganized people unless they do have a team supporting them. Like you said, the technician, somebody who's really good at what they do, surrounding themselves with bookkeepers, CPAs, CFOs, of the like. But yeah, I've had a lot of experience raising capital, and it really is a full-time job if you're going to go out there and get the money that you need.
Wow. So you said something. Investors don't like to invest in people who are disorganized. Is there a general theme that you see when you do pitch competitions or talk to investors? Is there something general that they all want to know?
I think the one thing that I see a lot is they want to know the numbers inside and out. But beyond the numbers, because those are all over the board in terms of how good somebody is at what they do in producing those numbers. But what I noticed is the main question that investors seem to get at is, why are you doing this business? Why should we invest in you? And a lot of questions really get to the heart of the entrepreneur and why they're doing what they're doing. Does that make sense? Like they're like, yeah, we can read the numbers and we'll verify those in the bank accounts and we'll verify all that good stuff. But what we can't verify
is what's motivating you.
What is motivating you? And I have saw so many people give pitches to raise capital, show up disorganized. I can't tell you how many people show up to Shark Tank without all of the things that they need, stuff for their set.
Oh, no.
It's a disaster to watch.
Oh, man. We've been talking to Angela Cody, owner of Major Mom. She's been in multiple pitch contests. She's been on ABC's Shark Tank. Angela, why don't you tell the listeners the website and how they can get a hold of you?
Okay, our website is majormom.biz, and they can go straight to the website, click Contact Us. If anybody out there listening has some questions about organizing their home office or just entrepreneurial questions in general, we have a question button on our website. If you hit Contact Us, that questions will be directed directly to me, and I can spend a few seconds with you and help you out, because getting organized is not a luxury. It's a necessity.
Oh, I like that. I like that. Angela Cody, owner of Major Mom, thanks for taking your time out on homebabiz.com.
Thank you so much. I hope you have a majorly organized day.
Connect, capitalize, go. All new radio for business.
It's the podcast for business.
After that, I'm not doing people's lunch dishes.
Highlighting the best emerging talent.
Oh my God, all these people that have gotten the product and wrote up on it. That's amazing.
The podcast for business, live every weekday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern.
If I think positive about the results, only positive results are going to come to me.
You never know what you'll hear.
If we didn't have that foundation, I don't think I would have had the balls. Well, I don't have balls, but
hey, you can say it. We're on the internet. It's okay.
Okay, I wouldn't have had the guts to do that.
Connect, capitalize, go. Radio for Small Business.
Do you remember how awesome it felt to receive a real handwritten note in the mail from a friend? Tomer Alpert of Felt is bringing that feeling back. Tomer Alpert, welcome to Radio for Small Business.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, why don't you tell us what Felt is? I had a chance to visit the website. I think it's really cool. But why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about your business?
Sure. So Felt is an iPhone and iPad app that lets you send personal handwritten cards in the mail. You simply select your card, then you get to handwrite your message. You can use your finger or a stylus. And then we print that card on premium paper and mail it for you. We hand apply a stamp and take it to the USPS within 24 hours.
So I can already see where this would make my life a lot easier. My wife likes to send cards, after almost everything that we do. Okay. So where'd the idea even come from? Where'd you come up with this thing?
So my wife and I, Gracie, went to a dinner party one night. And on the way home, she wanted to send the host a thank you card. And the stores were all closed. We had no idea where our stamps were. And I thought, there just has to be an app by now that lets you do this. So we went onto the App Store. And the only apps that existed let you type your message. And then they printed your literal text message onto a card. And we just didn't feel that was very personal. So we got really excited and, basically went to work the next day on creating Felt, building our team, and starting this journey.
Wow, just like that. So from a party, wanting to be a good guest and saying thank you, you realize there's nothing out there because, of course, there's supposed to be an app for that, right? It wasn't out there, and
right.
You came up with the idea. So I heard you say you and your wife went to work together. So how'd you guys kind of get started putting the business together? Did you start working on the app first or the business first? I heard you mention team. What came first for you?
Yeah, the first thing that I did was, I wanted to make sure that handwriting could look natural when it was printed. So my school of thought is bootstrap it as far as you can. Do it on your own money with your own resources, before you go out and look for investors. So, we literally downloaded some art apps that let you draw, and then we printed them, and we started on that first because we figured that was going to be the hardest part of the whole product. So we found some really interesting ways to make handwriting when it prints look completely authentic. And today, people email us and they're like, I sent my mom a Mother's Day card, and then I called her because I wanted to tell her about Felt, and she couldn't understand how the card she received was from an app.
Wow.
Because it was their handwriting and it looked so authentic. And so that was the first thing that we did. Yep. And then we started building our team. Once we figured out we could make a card look real and just replace pen and paper with your app and your finger, we started building the team. And the first thing that we looked is okay, what don't we do well? What parts of this business are we going to need to find other people to help us with? And the very first one, I have a lot of experience in entrepreneurship, but never in consumer products and consumer brands. Okay. And I knew from day one that I wanted Felt to be a brand that millions of people used. So I quickly looked through my network and within a day found the perfect partner for Felt. And they so we're 4 co-founders. David and Andrew are the 2 that we found through our network. And they are, brand experts. They're advertising executives and brand launching experts. Wow. So they helped us put the whole thing together.
That's crazy because most people would ask themselves, what can I do to save the most money? And you said, what do I not do well? What kind of training or mentality had you developed before then to get you to even ask that question?
Yeah, what got me to ask that question was my experience building a startup with my dad, actually. And after high school, I started going to college. And then he approached me and asked if I wanted to help him with his business. So I dropped out of college, quickly helped him start that business, but we started it out of our apartments. And we went through a grueling experience of bootstrapping. We got evicted from 2 different apartments.
Oh, man.
As we were building the product. But what I learned from my dad was you can literally do so much more than you think you can do with just what you have. And so I carried that mentality into Felt and did as absolutely much as we could do on our own. That means all of our savings went into Felt, hundreds of thousands of dollars, credit card bills. But beyond that, it was also partnerships. It was okay, typically, for instance, our 2 partners are brand executives, and they run one of the premier design firms in the country. And typically, I think a lot of people would think, okay, we should raise money so that we can go hire people like that. But I also know that to build a real business, people need to have ownership. They need to be putting their sweat and tears into it. And you don't do that if you're doing it just as a contractor or as a vendor.
Oh, okay.
You do that only if it's your business.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I made them, full-time partners and felt over a period of time, but that was always the vision.
So kind of like giving them equity, sweat equity, so to speak, I'm guessing?
Yeah, sweat equity. Yeah, I think that's what I would call it too.
Gotcha. So not only that, but you eventually decided, to start raising capital. We all know you were on ABC's Shark Tank. A lot of people think that's just a game show. What's different from the viewer's side that's totally different on the side when you're on the carpet pitching for investors?
Yeah, I think the notion that it's a game show is not correct. I can say going through the process now, it's legit. The sharks don't know the company's coming out. Their first experience with you, unless they've heard about you, other ways, but typically their first experience is right then and there. So, that part is real and it's authentic. And I think the other part, the flip side of that is the entrepreneurs going on the show. We especially went on the show when we were ready. Our product was ready. We were out of money. We really needed an investor to give us capital because we had everything else built. The product was ready to go. The team was ready to go. We figured out all the different issues, right, that you figure out along the way. We did all of that on our own dime. And now we were ready to bring on an investor because the investor's risk was dramatically reduced with Felt. Felt wasn't just an idea that had to be built. It was a good idea that had already been built and had already been figured out. We actually rebuilt the product 3 different times.
Wow.
Because we started when there was a very small iPhone in 2015, and then the bigger iPhones came out, and then the iPad Pro came out, and then Apple built a stylus that lets you handwrite, in a very real way.
So it sounds like, and I didn't want to cut you off, but going back to what you just said, it sounds like you spent a lot of time, invested a lot of time in building a system, a business system, so that when you did take it to those sharks, they would take more note of it just because you were not some guy with a piece of paper and a business plan, correct?
Yeah, that's right. And also it allowed us to value the company with a lot more affirmations, with a lot more validation and traction, not just an idea that we say is worth X number of dollars. Because when it was just an idea, we didn't know anything. We didn't know if people would even be willing to handwrite something on a screen. So we validated a lot of assumptions that we had been making. And then we could tell our investors, the reason it's valued at X number of millions of dollars is because we've done these 10 things that reduce the risk dramatically.
So let me ask you this, and, this is not a normal question, but if you had to value the company confidently without building that networking system before you went on Shark Tank, what do you think you would have had to value it at in order to get a shark interested?
So we devalued our company when we went on Shark Tank.
Wow.
When we talked to private investors, it was valued much higher. And, we did that strategically. We wanted to engage the sharks on a positive note. We didn't want to go into Shark Tank and, look greedy. We didn't want to go into Shark Tank from a negotiation standpoint. We wanted to go on there trying to, attract the best investor.
Gotcha.
And we wanted them to know that we're being very upfront. We know they have value beyond just capital. And so we're valuing that differently than we would if we went to just a normal private investor who can't bring, media exposure, partnerships, and other things to the table.
Right.
And so we were just very upfront.
That's the great thing about being on the television exposure, right? You probably got access to tens, if not hundreds of millions of people in a single night. And I agree with you. I think there is a value to that. So I appreciate you really kind of going that angle because I don't know. I talk to people and they still think you just show up, you put some things on a table, and the sharks want to give you money.
Yeah, I think it's part of our culture at Felt is just to be very upfront, very transparent, very real and honest. And so I think we did a really good job of not losing that when we went kind of on to the primetime big stage finally.
Cool. Well, I got to tell you, I do think I'll be going on to Felt a little later today, Tomer. And I think I'll be sending out some postcards myself. I like the idea of being able to take the picture and put my fingerprints on it and not actually have to find a stamp, find an envelope, and trek over to the post office. Do your customers tell you similar things?
Yeah, that's the number one reason people use Felt is because it's the perfect marriage of modern day technology with this tradition. And it's still made to keep the authenticity intact, right? It's still your handwriting. You created it. The only thing that's different is that you never touched the piece of paper. You just used your phone or your iPad in front of you. And I think that, some people still want to go out to the store and get a card and lick the envelope and do something like that. And that's totally fine. That's totally cool. I think we hear like 50-50. Like half the people who see felt love it. They think that it's awesome. They think that it maintains enough authenticity to send their mom a Mother's Day card using it. And then the other half of the people are like, no way, Jose. Like, if, my mom would shoot me if I didn't go to the store. And I think it's interesting that, our perspective as users is that I wouldn't send cards before felt. And so now that I am sending cards, they are in my handwriting. My mom loves it, period, because before she wasn't getting them in this at all anyway.
And it's mom, right? Because mom is going to appreciate it no matter what it is, right? So...
Yeah, I mean, I use felt. Obviously, I'm a little different, but I use felt for, business interactions. I use felt for sincere, heartfelt expressions because I just think I've been around this for a long time, and I've thought about this long and hard, and I've decided to put my own money into it, namely because when I handwrite it, no matter if I use my finger on my iPhone or if I use the Apple Pencil on my iPad or pen and paper, the fact that I actually handwrite my message, I have basically...
It's yours.
Like,
it's your thoughts. It's your idea. It's your spirit, right?
Yeah. And it's different than typing your message. It really is. And so I've, kind of resolved in myself that this is where the value lies.
Wow.
And it doesn't matter if you touch the paper or not. What really matters is that you crafted your message in a way that you don't typically do, right? You don't typically handwrite stuff. You don't typically send handwritten notes. So the fact that you did it is what is special. It doesn't matter if you actually went to the store, touched the stamps, did this, did that. What matters is the message is in your handwriting.
Exactly. Well said. Tomer Alpert of Felt. Tomer, why don't you tell the listeners how to find out more information and download your app?
Sounds great. Yeah, you can just go to the App Store on your iPhone or iPad, search for Felt, and you'll find us. And actually right now we're being featured by Apple. We're the #1 Father's Day app selected by them. So you can just scroll down on the home screen of the App Store and see Felt.
Sounds great. Tomer Alpert of Felt. Thanks for taking your time out on Radio for Small Business.
Thanks for letting me on. Appreciate it.
Connect, capitalize, go. All new Radio for Business.
It's the podcast for business.
After that, I'm not doing people's lunch dishes.
Highlighting the best emerging talent.
Oh my God, all these people that have gotten the product and wrote up on it. That's amazing.
The podcast for business, live every weekday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern.
If I think positive about the results, only positive results are going to come to me.
You never know what you'll hear.
If we didn't have that foundation, I don't think I would have had the balls. Well, I don't have balls, but
hey, you can say it. We're on the internet. It's okay.
Okay, I wouldn't have had the guts to do that.
Connect, capitalize, go.
Hi, I'm Eugene Rowe, host of the podcast for business. On behalf of our team, I'd like to say thanks. Every month, we're able to impact thousands of lives all over the globe with relevant, impactful, and insightful guests. Some of them have even been featured on national television shows like ABC's Shark Tank and CNBC's The Profit. Our mission is simple: to journey with you on your road to achievement. To do that, I'd like to invite you to partner with us in our Share All promise. I promise to continually share for free without commercial interruption and unnecessary subscriptions. And I ask that you promise to share us with your friends. Here's something you like? Simply use the social share buttons at the bottom of the page to tell your network about the podcast for business. It's simple, easy, and only takes 5 seconds. That's it, partner. You've made the Share All promise.
Inside the mind of the owner. Radio for small business. Connect, capitalize, go.
It's Eugene Rowe with the Radio for Small Business. Visit homebubiz.com for great interviews, tips, tricks, hints, and everything with real entrepreneurs. Connect, capitalize, and go. Okay, this guest built his business from the ground up. It's built by a passionate and driven brother-sister millennial team in their hometown of Carmel, California. Skylar, Scarlett, welcome to Radio for Small Business.
Yeah, Eugene, thank you so much for having me.
Now,
pleasure to be on your show.
Oh, thank you. You're welcome. Glace Cryotherapy, that's your business. You guys just had a big appearance on national television. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that, and then we'll get into some specifics.
Yeah, no, so we, my sister and I, we found a new therapy in America, and we dove right into it in our hometown, tiny Carmel, California. Only has a population of 4,000, but we really saw a quick success. And we applied to Shark Tank, I think, when we were 7 months in business. And fortunately for us, we beat out 70,000 other entrepreneurs to appear on season 7, episode 20.
Wow.
And have just kind of taken off ever since. And it's been quite the journey for us so far.
So, Skylar, you already said 3 things I've got to ask about. First of all, you work with your sister. You know, a lot of people have sibling rivalries and things like that. How do you all get along, and how do you make the business run?
Yeah, that's a great question. Honestly, we're 6 years apart, and we grew up, we hated each other. So that's a great question to ask. I think the thing is we're actually the perfect team. I'm kind of the big dreamer who, I think I could open 1,000 locations in a year. And she's more reserved and more the container. And, she makes sure that we're organized and balanced and we don't rush into anything. So we kind of balance each other out, and we have different strengths. I'm really the science guy, and, she's very good with paperwork and being organized and marketing.
Gotcha.
So we kind of have our different areas that we focus on. You want to have a good entrepreneur team, you need to have both types of people. Someone who is a big dreamer who really, is very optimistic, and then you need to have someone who's more reserved, because the combination will really balance you out in the long term.
Right. And I've got to applaud you, because I've done business with family before, and it was weird because I ended up having to fire them, and they weren't as motivated as you two were. I mean, where's the drive come from with your business, Glace Cryotherapy?
Yeah, there is so much motivation between us both. When we started it, we were both kind of in a low spot. I had just been dumped by my college sweetheart. She broke my heart. And,
oh, man.
I was very motivated to, go out there and conquer the world and succeed. And my sister, had just gone through with the job.
Idea, obviously, and then just for 7 months, and you beat out 70,000 applicants for Shark Tank. What do you think set you all apart from the other 69,993 applicants?
Well, first of all, I think we're lucky that we have such an interesting, therapy that we work with. I mean, first of all, when people say, oh, man, you freeze people for 3 minutes, it really catches people's attention. So first of all, cryotherapy is just different. It's a brand new industry here in America. So I don't think they'd ever had seen any audition tapes or anybody go in there auditioning for cryotherapy. We're probably the first. And then also the fact that we're brother, sister, and people go, how do you work with your sister? How do you work with your brother? And, we're both very, very passionate. And they could see that in our audition video, how passionate we were. And I think we really knocked it out of the park with our audition video. It's probably the hardest stage you got to get past when you're playing the Shark Tank. And, we made a good 10-minute video. I kind of popped out of the crowd on like a Jack in the Box. And they told us that the producers just loved the video. And I think that's really what set us apart.
So not only are you working with your sister, not only have you been in business 7 months and all of a sudden you get on Shark Tank, but you're also millennials. And, a lot of people say millennials are unmotivated, they're lazy. What do you say to that, knowing that you have a crazily growing business right now?
Yeah, I think, millennials are very misunderstood. Most of my friends, they all want to own their own businesses and do their own things. And I think a lot of millennials are striving, to get to the point where they can, try to do something on their own. Because I do think there's that misconception that we're lazy and we don't care. I can tell you right now that millennials are actually very, very passionate. I just know from my friends that they really do. We all kind of want to do our own thing and, have a huge impact.
Wow.
So I do like the fact that we're millennials and, we've seen quick success. Hasn't been without, the occasional valleys, which, every entrepreneur will encounter.
Right.
But there's been a lot of peaks, which have been fantastic for us so far.
So great. Awesome. So now a lot of people think just because you go on Shark Tank, you're a contestant on a TV show. Okay. But you're actually pitching a business opportunity, an investment opportunity. Had you guys pitched investors prior to even applying for Shark Tank?
No, honestly, not like that. I mean, we have met with so many potential partners and, individuals that are interested in cryotherapy, and a few before Shark Tank, but it was never in the capacity that we're really pitching our business for someone to give us a big chunk of money and invest in it. So that was really, our Glossy Cryotherapy is our first business. And I didn't really take any business courses in college, and neither did my sister. So we've been kind of learning as we go. But there's no better way to learn than, learning by doing.
Yeah. So, on a national television stage, I'd say you're doing a pretty good job of learning. Okay.
Thank you.
So let's talk about the decision, because you are pitching a part of your equity when you go onto the show. What was the thought process you all had when you said, okay, we'll part with, X amount of the company? What was going through your mind? I guess what was balancing you out to say, we want to do it, but we want to do it right?
Yeah, there's a lot of decisions you have to make. And, we knew we wanted to keep full ownership on our side, but we were willing to give up a lot of equity. I mean, my sister and I, we're not greedy. I mean, of course we want financial security so we can, support ourselves and our family and our friends. But more so than anything, we want to see cryotherapy succeed. And we wanted to find the right partner that we thought, hey, they can, actually make cryotherapy, help us scale this in America. So we were definitely willing to, I think, part with at least 40% equity. And that was probably our final limit was 40% when we were going into Shark Tank.
Wow. So with that, I heard you mention scale. I think I visited your LinkedIn page and I saw the word franchise there. How are you guys scaling since being on the show, or what are the plans for scaling in the next couple of years?
Well, yeah, I mean, therapy spas in the whole country. I'm pretty sure 15 of them were in Texas. So it was brand new. And we're kind of, inventing the game as, we were going along, making the rules and everything. And we just said this therapy works so well that it really should be in every single city. And after a year, there's not 20 anymore. There's around 250 locations. So It's growing as I expected it to. We wanted, for franchise, you got to give people a reason to franchise with you. So, there's a huge learning curve to cryotherapy. There's ways to market it, ways to give the therapy correctly and effectively and give that good experience. And we feel like we've mastered that. And since Shark Tank, we've received probably over 1,000 franchise requests.
Wow.
But, your first 20 or so franchises are so important for setting up your future. They have to be very selective on who you choose and what locations you go into. But probably the most important thing that's happened is the vice president of a huge fitness club chain watched our Shark Tank episode, called me 2 days after the show and said, hey, how would you like to put Glossy Cryotherapy inside of our fitness club? I said, absolutely. I love it.
Wow.
Yeah, right? I have all these franchise requests. And what's going to happen is we're about to finalize a deal this week, actually. They have over 600 locations in the country. And we can either put our own corporate locations or we can sell our franchise and have people buy into Glossy and open in these fitness clubs. So I think we're going to do probably both. But now we have something a little bit more proprietary to us because we don't make the equipment that we use. But if you want to go into this fitness club, you have to have Glossy over your name.
Wow.
So it's definitely something that's going to help our brand in the future.
Did I just hear you say basically that your brand tripled or quadrupled in locations and is going to do that in one deal?
Well, I think it gives us the possibility for it. It's just a huge opportunity. I mean, we're going to do our best to execute and scale it into all 600 locations, but that's going to take some time and, have to be done right. But we have a bunch of franchise requests, and once I'm able to, present this to the franchise requests we've already received, I think a lot of investors are going to jump all over it because it's a huge opportunity to own your own business, get into a new therapy that's really taking off, and it's going to be a great model inside of this fitness club.
Well, I tell you, it really sounds like you guys are having some rocketing success. Definitely you and your sister. What's your sister's name?
My sister's name is Brittany.
Okay, we want to give Brittany some credit too, right? Because she, like you said, she keeps you grounded, right?
A lot of it. We wouldn't be where we are without her. I mean, if I didn't have her, I probably would have blown this thing all up because I'm so aggressive. But she really, she's amazing at marketing. There's no one better at marketing. And, as far as being organized, there was so much paperwork and phone calls and emails. And she is absolutely amazing at keeping us organized and on track. So without her, there'd be no Glossy.
Awesome.
That's without a doubt.
Awesome. Well, just in case you're just tuning in, we've been talking to Skylar Scarlett with Glossy Cryotherapy. Skylar, why don't you tell the listeners how to find out more about Glossy Cryotherapy?
Please visit us on our website, www.glossycryotherapy.com. It has a bunch of great information for individuals to check out, and also it has a great webpage on it.
And you're in business. Some of them have featured on national television shows like ABC's Shark Tank and CNBC's The Profit. Our mission is simple: to journey with you on your road to achievement. To do that, I'd like to invite you to partner with us in our Share All promise. I promise to continually share for free without commercial interruption and unnecessary subscriptions. And I ask that you promise to share us with your friends. Here's something you like? Simply use the social share buttons at the bottom of the page to tell your network about the Podcast for Business. It's simple, easy, and only takes 5 seconds. That's it. Even been
Sweaters probably don't belong in the dryer.
Just say, let's see if it works.
Oh, it was negligent. When you're in graduate school, you're doing a million things at once. You're studying, you're on the phone, you're trying to do too much at once. And I literally just put all my clothes together in the same pile and thought they would all come out nice and beautiful and clean. And to my surprise, the wool sweaters came out a couple sizes too small.
Oh, boy.
Which is a little disconcerting, considering that when you're in grad school, you don't have money to replace wool sweaters. So I immediately started thinking, how can I rectify this? Because the last thing I want to do is have to either not have a sweater, it's frost and it's cold, or try to buy a new one. So I looked for home remedies and thought one worked really well. And I, quote, unshrunk, end quote, sweater that I wore to class at Harvard Business School. And over the course of the day, it continued to shrink to the point where it was a crop top.
So you're a grad student, you're doing 50 things at one time, and you throw your sweater in with all the other clothes into the dryer. What happened next?
I said to myself, ever.
So you got to tell the experience. Was it an emergency or did you
to actually fix?
So it's your business is unshrink it. Talk about the process where you say, okay, I'm going to become a mad scientist, or what happened?
Well, the process was that Harvard Business School had just launched a program where they would give students $5,000 to start a micro business. And I convinced my 5 other classmates that this would be a brilliant idea. Why not? We have the money and the time to tinker around for a few months and try to crack the nut on shrunken wool clothing. And thankfully they agreed with me that it'd be more fun to do than a mobile app or a website. And so we started doing some research on what makes wool shrink. And Nate had a background at Johnson & Johnson during product development and was really comfortable looking at old wool textbooks and researching the science behind things. And he proceeded to make a bunch of suggestions for things that could work. And as a team, we tested them out over a few months.
So eventually you get a product and a business that's successful enough for you all to think about raising capital.